Hi, AT from CNC at Home. In the last video we talked about the new aluminum business card blanks. Kind of look like this. This is the black one. And I've been doing some experiments with them, and I wanted to create a business card for an acquaintance of mine. I know Daryl Ritchison, who is the director, he's the director of NDAWN. That's the North Dakota Agricultural Weather Network, which is, if you're into weather at all like I am, really kind of a cool thing. They have weather stations throughout North Dakota and even into Minnesota. I thought it would be fun to take one of these blanks and create a business card for Daryl, something that was a little more permanent than a paper cardboardy kind of business card. This should put up with and withstand a lot of weather, I'm thinking. So the plan is I'm going to put the logo over on the side somewhere. I'll have his name, his contact information, email address, all that kind of stuff on here. And then on the back, I thought it would be cool to put a QR code that was his contact information. So when he's meeting with people and they need or want his contact information, he can pull this card out and they can just zap it with their phone and get all the pertinent information. Let's go over to Lightburn and kind of build that, see how that works. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Let's go to Lightburn. Now that we're in Lightburn, I want to bring up my business card template that I created. So I will just go in and bring that up. It's just a real simple rectangle down here in the corner. And zoom into that once it comes up. I do have my notes turned on to just kind of remind me how this is all set up. Click OK on that. We'll zoom in. A real simple kind of thing. Now, to get this created, I'm going to need to get the NDAWN logo, and I'm going to need to get Daryl Ritchison's contact information. If we take a look at the NDSU website, we can see his contact information. Here we have everything we need. We have his name, his title, email address, web address, physical mailing address. Well, we're not going to use that. We're going to use the actual mailing address for the department, not his physical address. Mailing address is what we're going to use. And his phone number. What we need, though, is the NDAWN logo. To do that, I'm just going to open up a browser window and search NDAWN on Google. See what comes up. I guess I'll do NDAWN logo. And when I click images, I get a whole bunch of stuff that isn't what I meant. But the very first one, that's exactly what we need. So I'm just going to take this logo and save that off into our project. And then we can bring that in. I'll put it in the project folder and then bring that into the project. Back in Lightburn, let's pull that image in that we saved. We'll just import. Now that I have this image in here, I want to convert it to a vector file. So I right click and say trace image. Default settings look good. And I have delete image after trace set on so that the image will go away. Click OK. And now what I have is just a vector file. We can see that if I just show lines. But I do want this filled, so we'll leave that filled. And I want it rotated. So what I do is I press the period key, and that rotates it. We'll get it vertical this way, as we're going to have it over on the left-hand side of the card. And let's shrink that down a little bit. I'll have it shrink from the center. And we'll keep the aspect ratio locked. Starting to get about the right size. We'll just stop real quick. I'm going to hold my shift key and click my template. And then I want to... Oh, it's always, I get these two mixed up. I want this one. I want that centered vertically. Ooh. That's really close. Let's make it just a little bit smaller. Not the whole thing. Just this. We'll make that just a little bit smaller. All right. And then we'll slide it over. Oh, that worked out pretty well. If I hold the control key versus just pressing the arrow keys, then I can get it to move smaller increments. But that ended up really right about where I want it. Maybe just a little bit more this way. The next thing will be to put some text on here. And I want to make sure that this is left justified, and I'm going to have it on the top. 25 is a bit big. Let's maybe change that to 7.5 millimeters. See how that works. And we'll type in Daryl's name. That fills up pretty well. And the rest of the stuff I'm going to have in a slightly smaller font, so we'll do that as a separate text line. And we'll maybe make that 4. We'll see how that looks. And we'll do his title. I think that size is going to work out. We'll do his title, his email address, his website, and then we'll get his mailing address on here. And we still should have, we can move this whole thing up. We'll have room for his phone number. Let's just take this whole thing and we'll move it up a little bit so it's a little closer to his name. And then we will also line these up on the right-hand side. Wow, that was easy. So we have his name, Director of NDAWN, email, website, and his physical address and his phone number. And we have the logo over here. So this is looking good. And in my library, I want to go to my aluminum business cards. We'll do this on a black one, and we'll assign that to the layer. So we're burning at 2,500 millimeters per minute at 50% power, and we're doing a vertical scan. We're doing that specifically because of the grain of the aluminum. I found that if you go against the grain, it burns much better than going with the grain. Something to keep in mind when you're working with metal. Now that we have this done, we can send that over to the laser and burn it. Before we do that, let's go and show you how to do a QR code for the back. As we did before, we'll just start with our business card template. We'll come up to Tools and say Create QR Code. And this one requires that you actually kind of size out your QR code. So I have it about this big. I want it pretty large, and we'll center it up later. And I want to use the contact information. So let's type this in. I just put that all on one line because that's all they give me. So this is formatted correctly for a US address. And let's get his phone number on here. And we could put some other information on here. We could say that we could put his title on there. We could say he's the supreme leader of all weather in North Dakota. Something fun like that. But we won't, because this is going to be a professional business card. We'll just we'll leave it blank. We do want his email address on there, so, and the URL for the NDAWN site. There we go. We should make sure everything is on here correctly, and as soon as we click OK, this creates a vector image of the QR code, which means we can size this to whatever size we want, and it will maintain its clarity. What I do want to do is get this kind of centered in our business card. So I'm going to Shift, click our template, and I can do that because the QR code was already selected. And I want to get that horizontally aligned and vertically aligned. So it's pretty much centered. The other thing I really could have done, probably would have been the easier thing to do, is if we grab the center of any object and we get near the center of another object, you'll watch this, it'll snap into position. There, I don't know if you saw that, but it kind of boom, snaps into position. That's another way to do it. And we've got this, and our settings are already done for the business card, so we can go ahead and save this and start printing one of these on the laser. Let's go take a look at that. The business card turned out really nicely. I hope Daryl likes it. I've already sent it off in the mail to him, so I couldn't find any pictures of after I cleaned it up, so you'll have just to trust me that it looked really cool. We saw it in the laser, and once it was cleaned up, the aluminum really shone through the black, and it looked really nice. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Think about subscribing to the channel. It really helps us with the Google Analytics. Enjoy doing your CNC at home projects.